saying I'm gay, saying I cross-dress and I look like Medea. Tell me where's the fun for that for me? I get it for you.
Shannon Sharpe has spent years dealing with rumors about being gay. But after a new wave of speculation exploded online, NFL legends, media personalities, and people who know Sharpe have started weighing in. And what they're saying is adding even more fuel to an already controversial conversation. Let me break it down. The rumors NFL legends couldn't ignore. For years, the questions about Shannon Sharpe's private life lived in the corners of the internet, Reddit threads, lipstick alley posts, Facebook groups, quiet jokes between teammates. But by 2024 and into 2025, the rumors had grown too loud to dismiss, and they were no longer being whispered by anonymous accounts. They were being repeated by comedians, by NFL peers, by his own stylist, and eventually by Sharpe himself in response. The center of the speculation was Sharpe's longtime stylist, Russell Hollywood Mugler. Hollywood, an openly gay stylist, was photographed beside Sharpe at NBA games, red carpets, Paris trips, and high-profile events. The closeness of the pairing, paired with Sharpe's status as an unmarried man in his mid-50s, sent the speculation into overdrive. Sharpe addressed it head-on, saying his stylist's sexuality was not his own, and that any separation between them had nothing to do with silencing rumors and everything to do with loyalty to his previous stylist of more than 20 years. But the explanation never landed cleanly, and among NFL circles, the questions only grew. Sharpe's persona had always been built on bluntness, but on the topic of his private life, he was unusually defensive. On Club Shay Shay, when asked about marriage, he gave an answer that opened more doors than it closed.
You married?
No.
No? Okay.
I'm looking to get about, hey, I'm about to be 55, I'm about to be double nickel.
A 55-year-old Hall of Famer with 3 children, talking about looking to get married for the first time. To outsiders, it was a relatable answer. To the rumor mill, it was confirmation of something they had been saying for years, and Sharpe knew it. He talked openly about why he stayed private.
I'm not a red carpet guy. I'm not a post on social media.
Red carpet?
This is what I've learned. People can't f up what they don't know about.
That line, delivered as a philosophy on privacy, became something else entirely after the rumors hit a different gear. Because in 2024, the rumors got fuel from an unlikely place. Comedian Mike Epps, during a stand-up performance, insinuated Sharpe was gay and suggested Sharpe had invited him onto Club Shay Shay in a context that fueled the speculation. Sharpe responded with force, threatening to expose Epps, challenging him directly in public. It was the kind of reaction that, instead of killing the rumors, made them louder. If the speculation was so baseless, why the explosion? Sharpe himself eventually addressed it on Nightcap, with the kind of frustrated tone of a man tired of repeating himself.
Saying I'm gay, saying I cross-dress and I look like Medea. Tell me where's the fun for that for me? I get it for you.
He kept going, framing the rumors as something that benefited his critics, not him.
You get the key. You get the laugh, but tell me the fun in it for me.
Then came the moment that almost everyone in sports media believed was a turning point. In September 2024, Sharpe's Instagram account, with nearly 3.2 million followers, accidentally went live. The audio that broadcast was explicit. Listeners heard the sounds of sexual activity between Sharpe and a woman he referred to as Michelle. Phrases attributed to Sharpe were captured, including references to the woman by name and explicit descriptions of what was happening. Sharpe initially claimed the account had been hacked. He later clarified on Nightcap that he had thrown his phone on the bed during the intimate moment and accidentally activated the live function. He apologized to his family, his children, and his audience. For many, the IG Live leak was supposed to be the answer to every gay rumor that had ever followed him. Comedian Cat Williams reportedly joked to Sharpe, "You ain't gay today, but here's where it gets uncomfortable." Almost a year later, the same incident would resurface in an entirely different context when allegations emerged suggesting the entire Instagram Live moment may not have been what it appeared to be, and that the figure in the room may not have been the woman called Michelle at all. And among NFL legends, the silence on these rumors had been their own kind of statement. Ray Lewis, Sharpe's former Baltimore Ravens teammate, and the man Sharpe had publicly defended during his own legal troubles in 2000, finally broke that silence. On the PBD podcast in August 2025, Lewis said he was not surprised by Sharpe's media success, but shocked at his content. Lewis admitted the two had gone their own separate ways because he could not follow the route Sharpe had taken. In his own words,
"I'm shocked at his content. I would, in a million years, the things that Shannon has said now or did now, I would never believe that Shannon will say or do any of this."
Like what?
Lewis went further, pointing to the deeper issue, and his words felt aimed squarely at the rumors and the conduct around Sharpe.
And that route is to become so worldly that you become popular because you're talking about ignorance. Right, a lot.
This was a man who had played beside Sharpe, who had won a Super Bowl with him, and who had been defended by Sharpe at his lowest moment in 2000. And now, in 2025, that same man was publicly walking away from the version of Shannon Sharpe he saw in the media. The rumors had finally become impossible to ignore. Not because of a leaked audio, not because of a comedian's joke, but because the people who had known Sharpe longest were now choosing one by one to distance themselves from him. And what came next would prove that even the loudest of those rumors had only scratched the surface. The grooming wave. In June 2026, the rumors that had circled Sharpe for years took a sharp turn into something far more serious. The shift came through one man, Royce Styles, a fitness influencer and content creator who had previously worked as Sharpe's cameraman and creative director for Club Shay Shay. Styles became the central figure in what would be called the grooming wave. The story broke when Styles' ex-girlfriend allegedly accessed his phone and leaked photos and videos to blogger Tasha K. What followed was a series of interviews, accusations, and counter-narratives that pulled in not just Sharpe, but his entire inner circle, including Hollywood Moogler. Tasha K herself laid out how the materials came to her.
And I have been up, and then I was up at 6 a.m. this morning talking to a young lady in my DM that was really frustrated about what she found in her boyfriend's phone.
The boyfriend was Royce Styles. The materials, according to Tasha K, included photos and videos of Styles in the same hotel room as Sharpe and Hollywood. According to sources cited by Tasha K, the dynamic between Sharpe and Hollywood had already collapsed before the materials surfaced, and the reason was just as explosive as the photos themselves.
They no longer work for each other, or they're no longer together because allegedly, according to sources that are close to the parties.
According to the same sources, Hollywood walked in on Sharpe with his replacement, a new producer named Jordan Barber. And here's where the IG Live leak from September 2024 came back into the conversation. Tasha K floated a theory that flipped the entire original story on its head.
They ain't gonna give a damn. They ain't gonna think. You know what I'm saying? The whole thing was staged, and according to sources, it was Jordan that was in that room. That was the Michelle.
Styles' own account, as relayed by Tasha K, painted a far broader picture than just one trip. According to the allegations, the contact began around January 2023 with a direct message from Sharpe or his team promising a guest appearance on Club Shay Shay. The opportunity allegedly expanded to potential modeling work and Nike-related campaigns. Hollywood, according to Styles, played a central role in facilitating and escalating those interactions. Styles described a pattern according to his account. The approach affected roughly 10 or more young male influencers, and the lure was always the same. Podcast appearances, modeling gigs, brand exposure, promises of career advancement that allegedly transitioned into requests for personal, sometimes compromising interactions, including shirtless modeling and photo sessions at locations like the Beverly Hills Fairmont. The Vegas trip was at the center of it all. Styles claimed it was tied to filming content for Sharpe's liquor brand launch. According to his account, the trip included a hotel room gathering where he, Sharpe, Hollywood, and at least one other figure were present. The leaked materials reportedly showed Styles shirtless on a bed, posing for or with Sharpe and others, receiving gifts, and engaging in mutual photography sessions. Tasha K, on her broadcast, described the contents of the screen recording the ex-girlfriend had sent her.
The way real with you, I went through my boyfriend's phone, well, ex-boyfriend now, that I know you, him, and Shannon Sharpe had been effing.
The screen recording continued, with the ex-girlfriend addressing Hollywood directly about videos she claimed Sharpe had recorded.
I have the receipts. I know about the videos Shannon recorded of him in y'all hotel room in Vegas.
For his part, Styles denied any sexual relationship with Sharpe. He maintained that he was, in his own words, 100% straight, and that the leaked materials had been misrepresented online. But the denial came with a heavy qualifier. While Styles denied personal sexual involvement, he framed his experience as part of a broader grooming pattern targeting young male influencers, with Hollywood acting as a recruiter or facilitator. Styles even went as far as to characterize the dynamic between Sharpe and Hollywood directly. According to his account, the two were likely lovers based on observed behavior, constant proximity, and the dynamics he witnessed firsthand, though he claimed he saw no overt physical acts between them. He called Sharpe, in clear terms, a groomer. The leaked photos, according to Tasha K, included Hollywood in a blue hat, all three men in an elevator together, and individual shots in the bathroom of the hotel room. Tasha K was direct about what she was seeing, even as she acknowledged the materials would need to be edited for her broadcast. She continued, narrating the images as the broadcast went on.
Shannon's sitting on the bed, right? Is that Shannon? It looks like Shannon? What about that looks like Shannon?
Sharpe himself never directly addressed the Styles allegations in detail.
Shannon apparently funded this whole trip. They were all together in the same hotel room. Hollywood was there.
He had no real way to, but the grooming wave was not the first time Sharpe had been accused of misconduct. It was just the newest, and the case that came before it had already cost him almost everything. The $50 million lawsuit. On April 20, 2025, the entire conversation around Shannon Sharpe changed in a single afternoon. A civil lawsuit was filed in Clark County, Nevada, under the pseudonym Jane Doe, seeking at least $50 million in damages for sexual assault, rape, battery, sexual battery, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. The plaintiff was later identified publicly as Gabriela Zuniga, an OnlyFans creator who had been around 19 to 20 years old when she met Sharpe in 2023. The Breakfast Club broke down the basics on the morning the news landed. The story was detailed.
So Shannon Sharpe is being accused of sexual assault and rape. There is a young woman. She is now in her early 20s.
The two met at a Los Angeles gym in 2023. Sharpe was 53 or 54 at the time. Zuniga was 19, according to the complaint. Sharpe initially watched her workouts before approaching her, and she did not recognize him as the NFL Hall of Famer. He pursued her with calls, texts, and gym encounters. Eventually, he invited her to his home. The lawsuit alleged he initially pressed her to sign an NDA, which she refused multiple times before any relationship proceeded. Lauren LaRosa, reporting on the case, walked through the alleged abuse.
More powerful, he began to get really aggressive. But at this point, she was already in it. She says that he was manipulative, he would threaten to choke her and slap her.
The relationship, as described in the complaint, was initially consensual but volatile. Sharpe's infidelity, including the widely publicized accidental Instagram Live sex audio incident with Michelle in September 2024, allegedly escalated tensions. According to the suit, the breaking point came after that incident, when Zuniga believed they were in an exclusive relationship. She broke things off. He allegedly did not take it well. The most damaging allegations involved two specific rape incidents, one in October 2024, another in January 2025. According to the complaint, Sharpe refused to accept the word no during sexual encounters, proceeding despite her sobbing and repeated verbal resistance. The complaint also alleged a specific threat.
He tells her and threatens her allegedly to say that he will effing kill her if she ever does that again. But the rape part of it, she says that she was allegedly anally twice.
Non-consensual recording was a major element of the case. Zuniga claimed Sharpe secretly filmed their sexual encounters without her knowledge or consent, and later dismissed her concerns by saying the videos were for personal use only. She further alleged he had shared some of those recordings with friends or associates. Sharpe's response was immediate and aggressive. Through attorney Lanny Davis, he categorically denied the allegations, calling the lawsuit a blatant and cynical attempt to shake down him for millions. His team revealed Zuniga's identity and released selected explicit text messages allegedly exchanged during the relationship. Sharpe addressed the public himself in a video that landed within hours of the suit being filed.
To my family, friends, supporters, and colleagues, I want to speak to you directly and from the heart. This is a shakedown.
He went further, naming the attorney behind the suit and framing the entire thing as an extortion play.
This is all being orchestrated by Tony Busby, who has targeted Jay-Z. Tony Busby targets black men.
The released text messages, presented by Sharpe's team as evidence of consent, were graphic. One, attributed to Zuniga and dated October 7, 2023, referenced a dog collar and being choked during sex. Another, dated January 1, 2025, referenced specific dollar amounts attached to sexual acts. The strategy was clear: paint the relationship as an adult, mutually graphic, consensual dynamic that had soured into a financial demand. But Tony Busby pushed back. Speaking to Lauren LaRosa, he stated that Sharpe was a liar, that the video at the center of the case had been shown to his lawyers in mediation, and that Sharpe had personally refused to view the full version. According to Busby, Sharpe chose to offer a substantial amount of money instead. LaRosa later reported that Sharpe's legal team disputed Busby's account directly, claiming Sharpe had been denied the ability to see the video in full and that the version he had been shown was altered. The dispute became its own news cycle, with audio of an alleged conversation between Sharpe and the accuser eventually leaked to TMZ Sports. In that audio, a voice attributed to Sharpe used the word choke in reference to the accuser. Stephen A. Smith, Sharpe's colleague at ESPN and the man who had personally recruited him to First Take, addressed the situation publicly.
I know and I can tell you all that I spoke to Shannon, not in details, but I spoke to him, and he emphatically proclaims his innocence.
But even Stephen A. could not avoid the next sentence.
According to Mr. Busby, his client emphatically proclaims his guilt.
The case ultimately did not go to trial. After months of negotiations, the parties reached a mutually agreed resolution around July 18, 2025, with Busby announcing the settlement on X and confirming the lawsuit would be dismissed with prejudice. Both sides acknowledged the relationship as long-term, consensual, and tumultuous. The financial terms were not disclosed, though reports speculated a payout exceeding $10 million. Mediation had reportedly involved Sharpe offering around $10 million, which was rejected. Shortly after the settlement, Zuniga announced her retirement from OnlyFans in a since-deleted Instagram post thanking supporters. The damage by then was already done. Sharpe had stepped away from ESPN in late April 2025 to address the legal matter. On July 30, 2025, just days after the settlement was finalized, ESPN parted ways with him entirely. A reported $6.5 million a year, gone. A rumored $100 million podcast deal that had been in negotiations as his contract with the Volume expired, collapsed. Sharpe addressed it on Nightcap, with a tone that fell somewhere between resignation and regret.
I'm sure everybody's heard the news by now that I will not be returning to ESPN. I found out this information a little earlier in the week.
The lawsuit had cost him his ESPN seat, his rumored mega deal, and a chunk of his reputation. But the most damaging part of the entire situation was not what came out in the complaint. It was what came out in the days that followed, when older allegations and patterns surfaced, and people began to ask whether this was really the first time. The pattern behind the pattern. Within 48 hours of the Zuniga lawsuit being filed, the public learned that this was not the first time Shannon Sharpe had been accused of sexual misconduct. Older allegations, older settlements, and older patterns began surfacing in coverage, and they painted a picture that the Zuniga case alone could not. The first and oldest came from a woman named Michaela Bundy Evans in September 2010 while Sharpe was working as an NFL analyst for CBS Sports. Evans, his then ex-girlfriend of nearly a decade, filed for a temporary restraining order alleging that Sharpe had sexually assaulted and raped her following an argument. She claimed the incident involved forced oral sex without consent. There was more. Evans alleged that Sharpe had threatened her afterward, telling her he would, in her words, ruin her life if she ever spoke out. The restraining order was granted initially, but withdrawn shortly thereafter, reportedly out of fear for her and her daughter's safety after someone allegedly showed up at her door yelling expletives. Sharpe stepped away from his CBS duties temporarily at the time. The story did not consume his career. The restraining order being withdrawn allowed the news cycle to move on. But Evans never let it go. In 2023, she filed a $4 million defamation lawsuit against Sharpe in New York, claiming he had damaged her reputation by publicly discussing their disputes and portraying her negatively. Sharpe's legal team called the claims, in their own words, ridiculous and without merit. The defamation case remained pending. And in 2025, as the Zuniga lawsuit dominated headlines, Evans spoke out again. She reiterated that she had been scared for her life during the original events. Her account, dormant for 15 years, was suddenly relevant in a way it had never been before. Then came the second resurfaced report, this one from his time at Fox. According to a front office sports investigation published in April 2025, during Sharpe's tenure co-hosting Undisputed on FS1 alongside Skip Bayless, he was accused of choking a female production assistant in the workplace. Two sources with knowledge of the matter described the alleged physical incident. One source indicated that Fox and Sharpe had settled with the accuser for several $100,000. No formal lawsuit was filed. The matter had been handled privately. Sharpe's representative pushed back, stating there had been no incident of choking on the FS1 set, describing any physical interaction as light and playful among colleagues on one occasion. But the timing of the report, landing in the middle of the Zuniga storm, was devastating. DJ Vlad, in an interview with rapper Mano, broke it down in real time.
He had actually choked a female production assistant when he was at Fox, and there was a multi-$100,000 settlement.
He continued, framing what was confirmed and what wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, according to a couple of news outlets, before Sharpe's time at ESPN, he was the co-host for FS1's Undisputed.
Now there were three separate situations: a 2010 rape allegation with a withdrawn restraining order and a pending defamation suit, an alleged choking of a production assistant at Fox that was quietly settled, and the Zuniga lawsuit with allegations of multiple rapes, secret recordings, and death threats. But there was more. Reporting around the 2025 controversy suggested that Sharpe had been sued dozens of times over the years, with settlements reached in a significant portion of them. One account noted 23 out of 24 complaints had been settled. The specifics of most of these cases remained private, but the volume itself was the story. What made the pattern even harder to look away from was Sharpe's own words. Resurfaced clips from Nightcap, where he had spoken openly about his preferences in women, began circulating in April and May 2025. In one, Sharpe stated that older women were not the competition for older men, that the competition was them young ones who would do what an older man wanted. The comments were widely criticized as promoting predatory dynamics. The age gap in the Zuniga case made the resurfacing especially damaging. Sharpe was in his mid-50s. Zuniga had been around 19 when they met. The math suddenly looked deliberate. Lauren LaRosa on The Breakfast Club said what a lot of people were thinking.
Not true, but I have no idea why a 54-year-old man is dating a 19, 20-year-old. I know y'all like to be out here bragging about smashing these young things, but that's not a flex to me.
She went further, framing the entire pattern as a discipline problem, not just a legal one.
54 years old, you should be laid up with your wife and kids, taking your cholesterol medicine, minding your damn business. We need discipline and stability.
The IG Live incident in September 2024 fit the same pattern. Sharpe had been in an alleged relationship with Zuniga at the time. The leaked audio had featured another woman, Michelle. The lawsuit later alleged that this infidelity had been a triggering factor in the breakdown of the relationship. And as the public began connecting the dots, the people who had once stood next to him on locker room sidelines and TV sets were now being forced to make a choice: stand by him or step away. And the way the NFL legends answered that question would say everything. The legends turned. When the dust began to settle after the Zuniga settlement in July 2025, the question of who would stand with Shannon Sharpe and who would step away was the question that defined the rest of his year. The answers came from the men who had played with him, worked beside him, and built their careers around the same media landscape. And the answers were not what Sharpe wanted to hear. Ray Lewis was first. The former Baltimore Ravens teammate, fellow Hall of Famer, and the man who had won Super Bowl XXV alongside Sharpe in 2000, broke a long silence in late August 2025. The timing mattered. It came shortly after the settlement and Sharpe's ESPN departure, giving Lewis's words their full weight. Lewis appeared on the PBD podcast, and what he said was not subtle. He started with what Sharpe had become as a media figure, and then made it personal.
I kind of started to watch him, and then we kind of went our own separate ways, because I'm like, you're gonna take that route. I can't go that route.
He went further, describing what he saw as the cost of that route.
And that route is to become so worldly that you become popular because you're talking about ignorance. Right? A lot of times, a lot of these gossip conversations that they have in
the context of Lewis's distancing made it sting. Back in 2000, during Lewis's own legal troubles involving a double murder case in Atlanta, Sharpe had publicly defended him vigorously ahead of the Super Bowl, standing up to media scrutiny and praising Lewis's character. The loyalty had run in one direction for 25 years. And now, when it should have run back, it didn't. Lewis spoke about respect for women in his life, about not being able to follow Sharpe's content, about the differences between popularity and influence. He never said Sharpe's name in connection to any specific allegation. He didn't have to. Then there was Brett Favre, the Packers legend, had his own history with Sharpe, and it was not friendly. In 2022, on Undisputed, Sharpe had publicly criticized Favre over the Mississippi welfare scandal, accusing him of benefiting from the misallocation of federal funds tied to a volleyball facility project linked to his family. Favre denied wrongdoing in the scandal context and sued Sharpe for defamation in 2023. The case was dismissed by a federal district court in Mississippi in 2024. The U.S. Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit upheld the dismissal in September 2024. Legally, Sharpe won. But the lawsuit itself resurfaced in coverage of his 2025 controversies, with commentators viewing the Favre suit as an example of how Sharpe's combative media style had created enemies among the very legends he should have been able to count on. Cam Newton, whom Sharpe had critiqued on air in past discussions, offered measured public thoughts. In a video statement on his platforms, Newton described Sharpe as a friend, mentor, and advisor, but stressed the seriousness of sexual assault allegations. He avoided declaring guilt or innocence, emphasizing the need to take accusers seriously without misogyny. It was a balanced response, but the balance itself was the story. Newton did not offer a full-throated defense. He did not deny the seriousness of the claims. For a man Sharpe had publicly mentored, the silence on Sharpe's innocence was loud. This was the awful truth, delivered not by his enemies, but by the legends and the people closest to him. The Hall of Fame plaque is still in Canton. The records are still in the books. But the legacy, the one built on 3 Super Bowls, 10,000 receiving yards, 62 touchdowns, and a media career that once paid him $6.5 million a year, will never be told without the rest of it. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed watching this video, click on one of the boxes playing on your screen to watch more similar content.